Welcome to Precision Animal Training, where we teach big lessons through the lens of getting precise science-based behavior. I'm Kier like your ear, Kirsten, crawl like a baby Kraljevic, animal trainer, behavior nerd, and your host. This is a show about real, lasting change. The science of precision, the power of pursuing perfect timing, the art of truly seeing and shaping behavior. Whether you're working with chickens, dogs, dolphins, parrots, horses, or even ourselves, expect real stories from the field, timeless principles that transfer across species, and practical insights you can apply immediately. Because if you can train a chicken with clarity, kindness, and razor-sharp precision, you can train almost anything. So grab a notebook. This is your personal masterclass in curiosity, mechanics, and true behavioral understanding. Hey everyone, and today we've got a special conversation packed with wisdom and humor featuring Dr. Bob Bailey and Mimmi Pacerek. And we are pulling back the curtain on what really happens inside a chicken workshop. The international journey that brought world-class training to Sweden, hands-on decision-making, and why trainers must change themselves before they can change the animals. If you're ready to challenge the old rules and join a passionate global community of learners, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Welcome back to Mobile, Alabama, and we're in Deep Fried Studios. And I know I'm not supposed to go off the rails here, but we're in Deep Fried Studios, and you're not allowed to lip smack. How can you be deep fried and not lip smack? I don't get it. Anyways, today we're here with Mimmi Pacerek.
Hi, happy to be here.
Thank you, Mimmi. And as always, a crowd favorite, Dr. Bob Bailey.
Hi there. I'm glad to be here.
We're really glad to have you here. Mimmi is like me, we're just students of Bob's. Let's be honest. We are just soaking up everything that we can learn from him while we have the opportunity to learn it. And he always throws new stuff at us, which is amazing. But let's go back to Mimmi. Mimmi, I met you in 2024 in the first, I'm going to call them real series of workshops that I gave. I had passed the friends and family round, and now I was working with people I didn't know. And I looked down at the sign-up stuff I had online, and Mimmi was the first person to sign up for my workshop. Mimmi, can you tell us where you're from, how you found us?
I'm from Sweden. I saw on Facebook that you have held some of the workshops, and I missed them. I think I was the first one to sign up.
I know you were the first one to sign up. What do you do in Sweden? Where do you work?
I work at Scandinavia's largest privately owned dog or pet company, educating pet owners and professionals. So I teach and train instructors and behaviorists.
Wow. And you weren't trying to find me. Who were you really trying to find?
I was trying to find the workshops. And Bob, of course, because I knew about the workshops.
How?
My boss is a former student, Silla Danielsson. She's a former student of Bob and Marion. So, of course, I knew all about them. I met Bob before in Sweden, and I met him in Hot Springs 2019 at the Think Plan Do. And I told him, there's no workshops. There's no chicken workshops. Because I've been trying to find them for a while. And then I saw on Facebook that I missed them. That's how I signed up.
What were you looking for from Bob? Like, what problems were you working on and trying to solve for?
I have always wanted to be a better trainer. And I've looked at Bob's students. I've met a lot of them, a few of his students, and they're doing very well. I also want to be a better trainer. So that's how I
found Bob's work.
Yeah.
Bob, do you remember working with Sila?
Yeah, well, with Sila, yes. Yeah. I remember working with Sila. As a matter of fact, I stayed at her place, at her home in, was it Usta, or what? How do you pronounce it?
Årsta.
Årsta. Yes.
Neat. When you were over there, you didn't bring chickens. How did that part work out?
Well, they have white chickens in Sweden too, and they got their own chickens and their own facilities, and it was for training chickens.
Now, did they come over here first, or did you correspond with them? Or?
Yes, Marie Fogelquist and Celia Danielson both came over, and they, I think it was the first 2 workshops. It could have been only one, but I think it was 2. And they liked it, and they invited me over there. Now, it took a little while for us to decide, are we really going to do that? But we finally did, or I did. Marion had passed away, did not go.
So was that the year that you said you worked more than you'd ever worked before, where you were traveling?
It was about that time.
Yeah, where you were just blanketing the world with chicken workshops.
Yeah, I traveled quite a bit on those years.
What was the most challenging country that you ever taught in? Where did you have the biggest culture clash or learning curve on the culture while you were trying to impart this knowledge?
Well, there's always the language barrier that you face, but again, it really depends on the physical facilities, and most people tried very hard to have good facilities. But if you want to consider such things as language difficulties, I'd say, China and Japan, they were pretty difficult. You go to other countries where English is spoken a lot, it's usually not quite so difficult.
That's so neat. I can't even imagine. So, Mimmi, you found us on Facebook, and you signed up and showed up. Let me just say, she showed up, and she really has been helping us ever since. Mimmi comes over every time we give a workshop, and Mimmi and Bob stay at our house, or at my house. My husband is amazing, cooking breakfast for them and lunch. And then we run down the ramp, and we go into the Tough Shed, which is our workshop, and teach students. And Mimmi takes incredible pictures. And I don't know, what's it like for you to be in there, Mimmi? What's your takeaway? Why do you like the workshop so much?
First of all, I have to say that Mike keeps us alive. We wouldn't be eating at all.
That says a lot about my cooking, everybody.
And about his. I learn a lot by watching people and how they solve the issues on the tables, and how both you and Bob instruct people.
Yeah. Having watched behind the curtains and seen how Bob teaches, do you have any questions you want to ask him that you think we could all benefit from?
I think there's layers to learning, but Bob has more layers in his teaching. And every time I see a class or a workshop, there's even more than I thought. And I don't know if that's really a question, more of an observation and learning and on my part.
Yeah, it's a deep observation, and I've felt the similar phenomenon, and that's why I want to teach with him forever, because every time he teaches a new group, he adapts to that group. And he's trying to teach me to do the same thing. And he'll do a little different take on his stories, or will stress something a little different. I've learned a tremendous amount from Bob on how to work with different people. How did you learn all that, Bob?
Well, it was just hands-on. I guess when I was in the service as an officer, that you are instructing men all the time. And there was a number of situations where I had to teach troops how to do certain things that if they didn't do them right, it would not have been a very glorious ending. So you got used to teaching people, and I discovered that everybody's different, that one person learns more quickly in one way, and another person learns faster in another way. And as far as the information in the workshop it goes, it's much the same thing. Every class is different. The people within the class, they're all different. and you have to adjust. You have to see what's going on the table. There's a chicken on the table. There are two people, one standing on each side of the table usually, and they're training. And you're watching the behavior of the students, and of course you're also watching the behavior of the chickens. But the chicken is rather limited in the amount of motion that the chicken can go through. So most of my attention is on the people. Not on the chicken. I don't need to watch the chicken that closely. I just want to emphasize that part because we are not training chickens in a chicken workshop. We're training people. We're getting people or giving people the opportunity to test themselves every time. Every time they pick up that cup with a clicker on it, how well are they going to do? Some people pay close attention to what they're doing, and other people don't pay that close attention to what they're doing. They're focused on the animal. It's those people who focus so much on the animal and can't change their focus. Those are the people that really have the most difficulty. But I would say here that Mimmi helps during this time. She is circulating around and can contribute a lot to what the students are doing. So really it's, I guess you'd say, a threesome in there.
You've just been waiting to say threesome, haven't you, Bob?
Yeah. It's the three of us there all trying our best to help students improve, help them train their chickens, and they are going to have to change their behavior in order to train the chickens. So it's a team effort.
To agree with that. It is a total team effort. And I'm so grateful for the team that has evolved around me and what I'm trying to do in preserving these workshops. And Mimmi, thank you for showing up and helping. And Bob, of course, none of this would be happening without the decades of work that you put in figuring out how to reach people and how to change behavior and setting up exercises where it's pretty hard to accomplish anything if you don't change your behavior. I call them brilliant and you roll your eyes, but I honestly don't know of any other place where you can go through that experience. Are you an animal trainer ready to sharpen your skills to a legendary level? Or a corporate leader looking for a fresh, powerful way to boost team dynamics, decision-making, and leadership? Discover Kirsten's Chicken Workshops, an immersive 5-day experience rooted in the science-based curated exercises of the legendary Bob and Marion Bailey. Train a live chicken using the principles of operant conditioning, like positive reinforcement. Why chickens? They're fast, honest teachers that instantly reveal where you need to improve your training skills. No fluff, just real results that transfer to dogs, horses, or any species you want to train, and even to leading people more effectively. Trainers call it life-changing. Dr. Bob Bailey himself endorses it as the ultimate mechanical skill builder. So visit Kirsten'sChickenWorkshops.com right now and sign up for the wait list. Spots fill fast. Train a chicken, change the way you train and lead forever. Head to Kirsten'sChickenWorkshops.com today. Did you know, Bob, when you guys were setting this up, did you purposely set it up so or introduce it in such a way that a person is really stressed by the second day, or did that just happen organically?
No, well, there's stress and there's stress. That we do not stress the people enough where it is going to really impair what they are doing at the table. So it's important to understand that when we're talking about stress, it isn't a matter of the stress that occurs when you stick your hand in a fire or something like that. It's a matter of you're having to think, and I mean really think. You're having to make decisions, and we stress that in every one of the workshops. Animal training in general, and teaching is a matter of decision-making. You decide either that is what I want or that is what I don't want. And you judge what you're going to do based on that. And hopefully you make an appropriate response to whatever's happening in front of you. In that regard, yes, there's stress. Because anytime you're making a judgment, anytime you're making a decision, there's some degree of stress that's involved. But that is the kind of stress we are talking about here, is the decision-making that you would translate from this classroom, from the chicken workshop classroom, to your training barn, or your training in the field, or wherever it happens to be. You're going to be making decisions. And in this class, the classes that we give, it's just one decision after another decision after another decision after another decision. And they come very fast, and we make sure that they come fast, because if you're training appropriately, you'll be making decisions quickly, and your training will progress based on your decision-making. And that's in a nutshell what the class really is all about, is you're making decisions. And if the decisions that you're making don't further your training, if you're no further off, another 3, 5, 10 minutes from then, well, something's wrong. You've got to evaluate, decide to change, make the change, and move on and train. Change your behavior, train.
Words to live by. They sound easy, but not so much. Mimmi, do you have any moments when you were a student in the workshop where something maybe didn't make sense, or you didn't realize how powerful it was until after you accomplished something with your chicken?
There's a few of those. I remember the first class, of course, with the discrimination. And when the bird actually did the discrimination, that was a big moment. And being able to apply all of those with the chicken, and that was a aha moment.
The reversal? Or
yes.
The reversal.
The reversal.
So the reversal, for anybody who doesn't know, you spend the first part of the class getting a chicken to peck either a colored circle or a shape. And you get it really strong so that you can move it down the table next to anything, and the bird only pecks what it's supposed to peck. This, not that. That's the discrimination. And then in the last day, we make you switch that the old hot target to a new one that the bird showed no interest in. And we make you do what you did in 3 days in one session. That's what Mimi's talking about. And I think that right there shows whether you've gotten to the point where you can make change and quick decisions. Is that what you were talking about?
It is empowering.
Oh, yes, 100%. How did you come up with the reversal, Bob?
Well, it's just a standard exercise that occurs in psychology, where you are teaching one thing and then you teach something antagonistic to that to see how rapidly the person can change. It's just a standard test. We just applied it to training dogs.
I just had an aha moment. If somebody asks you about the chicken workshops, or actually when they do ask you about the chicken workshops, what do you tell them? How do you explain what we do in there?
This is where you get the hands-on training that you need. The theory, you can read that everywhere. And the hands-on and what you really learn, the technical part, that's in the workshop.
And can you tell the difference? Like when you go home to teach the students you teach at your school, I guess, have any of them ever been? Or have you ever run across somebody that has been?
I have, but they're older.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that too. I'm actually older than Mimmi, and I feel like my generation is actually retiring out of training, and that's why it's so important that these workshops stay out there to become or to be available for the next generation of trainers, because otherwise I feel like we will just repeat ourselves, and I want to see the industry move forward.
I think it would be important here to point out that someone with my background, I started with chicken workshops. I had observed animals for decades. I've actually trained animals out in the wild, but I had never had any formal education in how to train. So all I did was read. I read Skinner, I read the Brelands, I researched training, but I did it all by myself. And, it was catch as catch can, as they say. I thought I was okay. But then I met the Brelands. I had just been hired as the Navy's director of training, and now the Brelands came out as the chief consultants, behavioral consultants, and they were going to teach us how to train. Well, we started with chickens, and I want to point out that I had never had to jerk on a dog leash in my life. I had never gone through the usual experiences of an animal trainer in the day because I had never done any of the traditional ones, although I had trained octopus and fish, and I had trained amphibians, and I had trained many different kinds of little animals in terraria and aquaria, but I'd never really trained anything formally like so many trainers. So I learned under the tutelage of the Brelands. And how could anyone be so fortunate and not turn out to be reasonably good in training because they've never learned the old traditional methods? And I want to emphasize that. I did not learn under the old traditional rules, and there are not many trainers out there in those days that could say that.
I would say none that I know of.
Anyway, that's my real background. I did not have to unlearn a lot of things that a lot of other people had to do later on, because so much of the chicken workshop is unlearning the things you have learned before. And it's tough for people to give up something they have done and change their behavior, and especially if you're a professional, because changing your behavior to an individual might say, I have to tell the world I was wrong. And it's very hard for a human to say I was wrong.
I would say I've learned that from you as well. If you don't know and you're wrong, just say, I don't know and I'm wrong. And again, owning it actually gives you a chance to learn and be curious and move forward. So I'm grateful that you met the Brelands, Bob, and I'm grateful for the opportunities that you've given Mimmi and I to learn from you and the students that have showed up because of you and the body of work that you did. I'm super grateful for that. So thank you, Bob. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Mimmi, I mean, it's amazing. Mimmi it's not only that she comes to help, she's become one of my closest friends. I've met so many nice people through these workshops. It's a community now, a very supportive community of people that have similar interests and have had similar breakthroughs in changing their behavior through the exercises that were developed by Bob and Marion in these workshops. And when you go through something like that, because nobody changes because they're comfortable, there's always a degree of stress involved there. I think you do bond with the people you go through it with. Okay. So thank you, Mimmi, for your help and coming all this way.
Thank you for having me.
And Bob, thank you for the mentorship you've given us and all the time and effort you put into teaching us this stuff.
Well, I'm glad to do it, and I appreciate very much what you ladies bring to the table here and give to the public when they come in to take the classes.
That's a great place to end. Until next time, thank you very much. Stay curious, stay happy, and see you next time. Before we wrap up, here are a few key takeaways from our conversation with Dr. Bob Bailey and Mimmi Pacerek. Bob and Mimmi reminded us that chicken workshops aren't really about training chickens. They're about training ourselves. It's about embracing hands-on learning, making quick decisions under pressure, unlearning old habits, and finding the humility to say, I was wrong. That's where real growth happens and where those strong community bonds are forged. Until next time, stay curious, embrace the challenge, and remember, in animal training and in life, simple is powerful when you do the work. Thanks for listening, and we will see you back here soon on Precision Animal Training. Thanks for listening to the Precision Animal Training Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen. It helps spread the word to more trainers like you. Share the show with a friend who could use a behavior breakthrough. Want to dive deeper into precision animal training? Head to Kirsten'sChickenWorkshops.com to learn about the workshops, sign up, or join the waitlist for the next series. That's Kirsten'sChickenWorkshops.com, where legendary science-based behavioral technology meets tomorrow's top trainers. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, remember, train a chicken, change the way you train forever. This show was edited and produced by Johnny Gwynn at Deep Fried Studios.